Welcome to, at long last, we're at the Combine. It is March 2nd. This is the PFF forecast, and we are joined by one of our favorites. And I say that, and I want to emphasize that, because apparently your podcast co-host, Kevin Clark, his feelings are hurt a little bit. But it's okay. We're going to say it.
Do you know,
Nora's one of our favorites.
Yeah, and to pay homage to him.
You're wearing a sport coat? Nora Princiotti of The Ringer.
We all should have done it. Everybody should have worn a jacket.
Yes.
So we were at the JW. George shows up because he was gone until today, and he goes, "Jacket, huh?" I'm like, "Yep, there's a reason."
And this is the reason?
Yeah, it's a joke.
He didn't even tell me.
Well, it's better for you to get it.
That's true.
Can I do a little test? We're going to see if Kevin is actually a loyal listener for you guys.
Right.
I have better jacket game than Kevin Clark. Wow. I'm sorry.
I'm glad someone's finally come out and said
He has good jacket game. I'm just saying, like, if we were to go toe to toe.
Is it because he's lost a step? Like, if we had a jacket game combine.
What are the different facets of it, right? So, like, number of jackets, quality, like, where do you beat him out?
So I think we're probably pretty even on quality.
Okay.
But I think I emphasize the jacket in the outfit to greater effect. Because here's the thing. I wear a lot of black. Like almost every day, almost all the time. And I have with me a bright pink coat.
Yeah, it's great.
And that's a favorite trick of mine, right? Is like you just go straight down the middle, all neutral, easy, capsule wardrobe, can switch everything out really, really easily. And then top it all off.
Bring the focus to the jacket.
Big jacket.
Kind of like what you've done here.
Yeah, apparently.
Except the opposite.
All the acid wash first, and then the jacket on top.
I mean, look, my college roommate called. He wants his jeans and shirt back.
You are doing double acid wash.
I am, and look, I call it a mathematician's exemption. I get to.
I'm smart, so I dress like a moron, and you can't say anything about it. Meanwhile, we're over here trying to get a jacket to stand out. So
I would argue succeeding.
I would argue that as well, and I think you bring up a good point because Kevin, I've seen a couple of jackets multiple times.
Ooh.
You know.
No, now, I got to be honest.
I don't know if that's a bad thing because I remember them.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I agree with you. I think you do a better job of making them stand out. I have yet to notice one of your jackets twice.
Oh, well, you weren't here yesterday. I did wear this jacket yesterday.
You did double think?
Lizzie McGuire, I'm an outfit repeater. I really just wanted to throw the gauntlet down. I'm going to be honest. Kevin has good jacket game, but, you know.
By the way, speaking of Lizzie McGuire, Hillary Duff.
As we always are.
Yes. So I tweeted this out the other day. You guys, neither of you have watched this, I can almost guarantee. But How I Met Your Father is the worst television show I've ever seen in my entire life. I've watched it with my wife, and we've committed to this show, and like now we just watch it.
And you're just sunk cost.
Yeah, now we're just watching it to see how bad it can get because there is no way out of this. This is the like Lovie Smith era Houston Texans of television shows. There isn't a path to success for the show. And it's sad for like Hillary,
a beloved figure, Hillary Duff.
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with it? Like, is it just, do the jokes fall flat? Is it formulaic?
So when How I Met Your Father or How I Met Your Mother came out, there wasn't like Tinder. There wasn't like, the internet was less, internet dating wasn't like a thing. So like the whole thing was like very, back then. And it was sort of like charming. Now, like she said, like her first like statement of the whole show is like, I've been on 78 Tinder dates this year. And it's like, okay, this is bad content. And it's just everything on top of everything is just so like, and modern, but in like the corniest, dumbest way. And then the characters don't just play it. Like Ted Mosby was like a very good character for Josh Radnauer, for that actual position where like none of these people fit into that role. I mean, it's hard to watch.
I gotta be honest with you. It's all your fault. You turned on a show called How I Met Your Father. There's a sequel to How I Met Your Mother, and you expected it to be good.
I didn't.
And
I did not expect it to be good.
There are so many good shows out there, and that's what you chose. So we were going to say this till the end, but I just got to get it out of the way. We're just doing it. We usually do Bachelorette Talk. I think this season of The Bachelor is the worst I have ever seen. It's not even remotely close. I don't even know. I'm just guessing because I don't remember. Is the Bachelor's name Chad? Is that what it is? Because
it's Clayton. It's Clayton, but I will say everybody in my life calls him Colton.
Oh,
because he has the same sort of like, okay, football player on The Bachelor.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Colton, that is so mean to Colton. Colton has a real personality.
But that's what makes it good. The Bachelor is at its best when the lead contestant is a human thumb with broad shoulders.
Okay.
Because then, like, it's not about the lead. He's not supposed to do anything. He is just supposed to be a blank canvas that a cast of women go wild for and behave irresponsibly in front of.
Okay. So
and I would argue that is taking place.
I would agree. I just don't find any of them remotely compelling.
I think he loves Rachel. I think he now, full disclosure, it is, what is it, March 2nd? I am 2 episodes behind.
And that's twice as many episodes as I've been able to watch total all the way through.
So you haven't even
I have. I've committed to trying. I can't finish the episodes. They're so boring. But here's what I did. I've made a pivot.
Okay.
The best reality show out there right now is Joe Millionaire.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Love is Blind.
That one's
putting
good.
This on my to-do list.
Joe Millionaire is actually what The Bachelor should be.
So Joe Millionaire is the one where like one guy doesn't have money and the other one is a millionaire.
One isn't. The girls don't know.
It stresses me out so
the
much.
The girls do not know, okay? And they date both men at the same time. And it is...
Do they try?
I don't even know what network it's on, but The Bachelor should be worried, okay? Because this show is actually compelling. And the guys are compelling, and the girls are more compelling. And The Bachelor has been struggling with quality for the contestants for a while.
I mean, they got to Renner 4 years ago. the thing is going to be dry soon. Like, come on.
Can I just say, I don't know him. I don't know Mike. I felt so proud when that happened. I just felt proud.
It's a huge win for the whole community.
It's just like, our boy's gonna go out there and he's gonna give it his all.
It was 4 years ago. Like the well has been dry for a while.
All I have to say is Joe Millionaire is what.
So okay, wait. I have a question though. Do you feel like you know which is which?
Oh, you know.
So you know, as the audience, they reveal it to you. Oh,
and
interesting.
So here's the question I have. Are the contestants, are they trying to find out, or are they trying to, like,
and this is another layer, right? Because if as one of the women, you're good with either. Because here's the dirty little secret: the guy that isn't a millionaire now could be after the show. You don't care. So the girls on there are very careful not to be like, I want to find the richer one.
And are there 2 contestants or are there more?
Oh, there's many girls.
There's many. Okay, just
two guys.
Gotcha.
Yes.
How do they structure the episodes? Are they all sort of like just milling about?
There's a house. The guys are actually good friends, which makes it even more interesting. And they do one of the interesting things is they can have the girls choose guys as well because there are 2. So whereas like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette's always one way and all of the girls are enamored. Here you start to see which way am I going to go? So everyone should make a pivot.
Okay,
is what I'm saying.
I put it in my.
It's just like this. I'll bring it back to football. It's just like this. It's way more interesting to talk about a quarterback battle than it is just to talk about Ben Roethlisberger running it back another year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, on that we can all agree.
Yeah. Speaking of, by the way, so we're at the combine. This thing's a spectacle. Like, there's just so much. Like, we get here yesterday. And Evan Neal is like, minus 250 or so to be the first overall pick. And then we walk around aimlessly, minding on our own business. And now Keim Ekwonu, it's Keim Ekwonu. Yeah, it's Ekwonu season.
We should just let him pronounce the name.
Yeah, like Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
It's Ekwonu season. And now he's like 3-1, 4-1 to be the first pick. There's some steam there. Like, this whole thing is kind of funny to me, right? We're getting information that is tangentially important to this entire process, and yet the lights are on here.
My takeaway from that, and my takeaway for the whole combine, is that everyone's here trying to pretend the best they can out of all the group that they know something, and no one knows anything.
Well, and the funny thing is that at the beginning, like, truly no one knows anything.
Right.
Like, I think part of that is that probably all those guys are going through these meetings right now, Neil might be a guard. Like there might be a lot of teams who are going like, I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Icky, I think, is pretty universally going to be looked at as tackle. So there are these like kernels of you find out real information about how teams view these guys and it matters. But then there's all this like, first of all, on Monday, they haven't had any of those meetings. So everyone's just full of shit.
Right.
Everyone's just like glad-handing and making stuff up. And maybe that'll end up being true. And maybe it won't. Maybe those guys reps are going to meet with a bajillion teams and they're going to be like, no, we have this thought about this player. I was talking to an agent the other day who was like, the craziest thing happened to me. He had a player who he kind of realized starting to talk to people he was underselling. He was like, oh yeah, I think he's got a place in the league. And then people started talking to him being like, no, oh yeah, like, well, we think he can start, blah, blah, blah. And he has to like backtrack and be like, yeah, I mean, really solid player. I think like the general consensus is that he's an NFL starter, like blah, 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 blah. So it's just all like, even the people who are in the know are not in the know, at least at the beginning. And I think the blessing and the curse of it is that by the end of the week, in some ways, you know a lot more than you did when you started. But it's also, there's this like consensus building thing where people like agents, they're starting to hear those things in meetings and then they're taking them back to other teams. And then those other teams are like,
oh, well, if that team thought this,
then we now think that. And it's just this total, there's a groupthink element to it too. And then it's just, okay, I want to throw something out at you guys. Because in addition to all the meetings and the information, it's just sort of it's just a networking convention. It's like football's annual convention. I saw something yesterday that really shocked me.
Here for it.
Which is that I was walking back to Radio Row at around 6:00 p.m. Mm-hmm. And I walk past the steakhouse Prime 47 and I see Bob Lamont, agent to the highest level coaches and executives, probably controls 20% of head coaches and GMs around the league. I see him with like 10 of his heaviest hitter clients sitting down to order massive steaks at Prime 47 at 6:00 in the evening. Too early. It's too early.
Oh no.
Dinner time.
Oh no. We're going to go to battle for the second time today.
That is not dinner time. That is maybe dinner time if you were at home. That is not a prime dinner reservation.
No, it's not.
And it's 6 Eastern too.
No,
right?
well,
so
6
like,
Central is
but like what I'm saying
7 Eastern.
Yeah, but we're in Eastern time zone right now.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago yesterday, so I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, but
that's fair.
But does it have something to do with their testing? Like they're eating early, getting like a couple hours, go to sleep.
But his clients are not.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think
they're coaches.
I mean,
they're
they're
not players. Not players.
Okay, so
never mind.
One of my tenets of life is that the early dinner is one of the smartest things you can do for yourself.
Wow.
I seek out. You know what time I ate dinner last night in Chicago? 5:15. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was the greatest thing. I was so productive after dinner. Unbelievable. I seek out the 5 to 6 reservation. And it's the best thing about it is you can actually find them at good restaurants.
Right.
Now, Prime 47, not that. So that's not an excuse. But especially if you're going to eat something that's that bad for you, do it earlier.
I forgot.
So you have time to digest. And
yes.
now there's a logic to that. Here's where I differ. Eating dinner early at home, I think can be nice. Can be very nice. If you're going out, a Prime dinner reservation is 8 p.m.
So you're
Prime, not as in Prime 47.
So
Prime
you're admitting that you just go out to dinner to be seen by other people and you care.
To be in the atmosphere, get the vibes.
Yeah.
You're there for the vibes.
See, like, but I think that's where we kind of like the
Eric
disconnect.
Also always there for the vibes.
Today in basketball, this morning in basketball, no boards, just vibes. But the difference between you, I think George it's the utility of the meal, and for you, it's
an
like,
experience. But it's also being able to have a full day beforehand.
Yeah.
So you can't have a full day by 5 p.m.
No.
What time do you wake up?
7.
Okay, well that's our difference. If you adjust for time waking up, we eat dinner at the same time.
You wake up at like 5 in the morning?
4:45.
Oh my God. No, absolutely. Okay. Don't act like that's normal.
How else? Is that not a normal thing?
No.
4:45 is a little early. I think 7 is probably median at this point among grinders, you know?
I mean, by no means is it indicative of how hard you work, because you can be a night
Right.
person. I happen to find that if I try to get anything done where I like concentrate on anything, I have to do it early in the morning.
So yeah, I'm with you. I have in the past been a 6 a.m. wake up person. Part of this is that I work for a company that's based on the West Coast.
True.
So sometimes if I'm definitely going to be on until like 8 p.m., I
Right.
like to have those hours in the morning
That
where
makes
nobody's
sense.
talking to me, nobody's bothering me. But 7 o'clock is usually my
See,
sweet spot.
George did come back and say, you know, he was very inclusive of time, because I'm more of a sleep in until the kids leave for school and then stay up well past the time where they go to
smoke 'em
bed.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay up well past the time they go to bed. That's right. That's where I get my most energy. When they fall asleep at 8:30, then I work until like midnight, but then I'm not up at 4:45 like George is.
The 6 p.m. dinner, you shaming someone for being progressive and being forward thinking.
I don't even think it's that though. I do agree with what Nora's saying in the sense of, I think the point is he's getting his work out of the way so that he can go back. So he's going to go somewhere. He's going to whatever, high velocity, all that stuff. He's going to do all this fun stuff. And he's going to come.
Bob Lamont has been inside high velocity in a decade.
And then he's going to come back to prime and get some real work done at like 11, right? Like he's knocking out his to-do list at 6, which is like make my clients happy.
Yeah.
Then he's like, let's start the real day.
So I will say this, I do have a confession to make. So I went to dinner last night, as I said, at 5:15, and I went with, it was like a work dinner. Now at a work dinner, I'm very conscious. You don't want to like eat more or less than the other person. You kind of, pattern match.
You're not alphaing people with like a 24-ounce steak.
Well, especially when I'm not paying, it's like,
Sure,
whatever.
Sure.
But you also are cognizant of other people's time.
Yep.
Okay. And this person happened to have a meeting with Australia at like 7:30 p.m.
The country of Australia. All of them.
Well, someone in Australia. Yeah. Sorry. So, but here's what I did. So I ate. Okay. We had a couple appetizers and I had a burger and fries. The Loyalist in Chicago. Very good burger. Not the best I've ever had. Very good. I ate another dinner after.
2 dinners when you got a lot of meetings. Total respect.
Like I hadn't eaten all day.
Yeah.
So I had literally had appetizer, main course once, and then 30 minutes later I had appetizer, main course, and dessert.
Great.
Unbelievable.
Great.
And George is one of those that doesn't like scarf down like a salad for like you like actually eat like the courses.
I had real,
both of those. That's
the
impressive.
downside of the really early dinner.
That's impressive.
Is it allows for my
also
fat
at
ass to
4:45 you just will be extremely hungry.
Yes,
Like-
I'm starving.
Okay, speaking of starving,
Transition.
I'm going to feed my family.
This is a lifestyle podcast. When we bring Nora on,
Yeah.
it's not. It's about
The
vibes.
haters
I
are
love it.
the haters are just seething at this point.
The
really
YouTube commenters-
want to know the numbers
The
of this podcast.
The YouTube commenters are losing their
Yeah.
mind right now.
I think we said the country Ukraine on the last podcast, and we got a bunch of like no politics.
Yes.
Like I don't even think we like mentioned anything. Like we didn't even say Putin's name. Everybody's like, no politics, please. I'm like, fuck, we can't even mention.
Well, now we're fucked because you said the name again.
We are.
Should we talk about Roman Abramovich again?
Speaking of Hungary, let's feed our families on these draft props here. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I want your opinion, George, Nora.
Yes.
Over under 4.29 seconds, fastest 40-yard dash.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, I'm going under.
Who do you know who, or are you just saying laws of averages? Some guy's going to bust
based on
one?
like just better, faster, stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we think? Memphis receiver, really fast.
Antonio Gibson.
Unhelpful.
I am going under as well. I didn't even think of the better, faster, stronger, in large part because I think this draft class kind of stinks. Go get the PFF NFL draft guide so you can find out which one stinks the least.
Okay, here we go.
I think that the combine, because it is an event, is so incentivized to have someone run really fast. Like, remember, speaking of JW Marriott, remember when they had John Ross up there for like 3 years? And it was like, I hate to break this to you guys. John Ross
Which
sucks.
was a bigger eyesore though? John Ross here or Sterling Shepard at the Super Bowl? Nora.
No comment. I don't want to be mean.
Okay.
Wait, can I just want to bring this up. Allen Robinson comes to the combine every year,
he does.
and I can't figure out why.
He went to the Super Bowl the year we were out. Remember that?
Yeah, he was in Miami.
He's just a vibing guy.
He's just always here. Every single year.
Right now, he's just looking for a team that loves him.
Well, and so that's the thing is that he's always like potentially available. So it's kind of like maybe there's a reason. But every single year, I drag my butt to Indianapolis, and at some point, I'm walking through the Marriott or wherever. Is that Allen Robinson?
He's also it's weird, but he's also like he's not like 6'5", 220. He's like he's for a football wide receiver.
Big guy.
Yeah, but like he blends in more than a football wide receiver sometimes.
Sure, I agree. When we saw him in Miami, he had some very skinny jeans on.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure if this guy's a hipster or if he's an NFL wide receiver. Okay, we're going under. Okay. Are you going under too?
I just bet under. Okay, here's another one I like.
Wait, should we settle on like is it Calvin Austin? Like who's gonna do it?
That's a good question. This is not on there. Calvin, the wide receiver from Memphis?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Okay. What about Wandale Robinson? I just like saying Wandale Robinson.
I mean, it's interesting looking at obviously Jameson
Williams running.
Williams would have been one of the people you would have thought could have done it. He's not running.
He's not going to run.
Let's look at I actually like this prop more because I think it's going to come. It actually comes to a head here with what we're talking about. Position of the player with the fastest 40-yard dash. Cornerback is minus 140, so that's the favorite. Wide receiver is plus 140. Running back is plus, like basically 4-1. What do we think there? So cornerback is actually the favorite, depending upon the book you look at.
And I was going to say corner too, because I think the wide receiver class not necessarily as fast.
What do we think?
I was going to say wide receiver because I've spent a lot more time on the Ringer NFL draft guide looking at the receivers.
Yeah.
So no one should listen to me is what I'm saying.
We're going to cut that part out, by the way. PFF NFL draft guide available for 25% off.
I actually
try to sneak in a little Danny Kelly reference.
Promo code forecast. Friend of ours, Daniel Kelly.
Yeah. So
I mean, because like Drake London's not going to run that fast. He's 6'5". He's a big guy.
Right.
That's coming up, by the way. Just previewing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson isn't like that fast.
Good separator, but not fast. Jameson Williams hurt. Chris
Olave is not that fast.
Treylon Burks might be a player who kind of goes DK Metcalf on this draft, on this combine.
Yeah, but he's not running 4.27.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
Sky Moore
is interesting, but I don't think he's that fast.
Yeah, Jahan Dotson I think is more quick than fast. Love that. You like that?
I do like that.
I've been here. Okay.
I do
that. And then Jalen Tolbert is more of a bigger guy.
I'm not even going to lie. I think George Pickens, not just because he has a good first name, like could have the fastest.
Okay, so here's, and this is how much these things have moved. So I bet Drake London over 4.53 seconds in the 40. I got him at minus 120. It is now minus 200. So people think that Drake London is slow. They think he's heading for.
Ouch.
He's heading for 4.6.
If he runs a 4.6, you might as well just turn him into a tight end right now.
Well, it's weird, right? Because like I don't know if he can be like when you look at some of our data, he has like kind of bad separation numbers. Like he has great contested catches numbers. Yeah. You know, a lot of the people that watch him like him, but you know, if you pair bad separation numbers with a bad 40,
what did Mike Evans run?
That's a great question.
Can we look that up?
Yeah, but Mike Evans is sort of a singular guy.
Right? I agree. Talk to us more about the wide receivers since you started watching.
This is not. We got to get Danny Kelly for this.
I'm more curious.
I can regurgitate Danny Kelly's draft guide.
Which one could be a Bachelorette contestant?
Oh, ooh.
That's what I really want.
So this is how funny these books are. Mike Evans 40 at the combine was 4.53. The price for London.
Oh, interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And people think you're just going to be way slower. I don't remember. I mean, Mike Evans, when he did run a 4.53, if I remember correctly, it didn't. I mean, he obviously still went in the first round, but like,
I know what Nora's asking, and I'll answer right now. He had a 25 in his Wonderlic.
Are there draft props on that?
Well, they can't. Not legally. It's not part of the.
It's quote unquote over.
Yeah.
Even though.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a good one. A few other ones. I kind of this one, kind of near and dear to PFF's heart. Aiden Hutchinson over under 36.5 bench reps.
Oh wow.
I'm going over because I'm totally in the bag for Aiden Hutchinson.
Are you?
Yes, just like completely.
Reasons.
I think he seems like a nice guy.
Oh God.
He's like that stocky Michigan blood,
I know some of his people. I'm not even gonna lie. I've just decided to be in the bag.
By the way,
I mean, we are as a company, like we're doing a podcast series with him.
A podumentary.
It's called Hutch. It's coming out a couple weeks before the draft. It's going to be really hot. The cool thing about him is that he has like a legit personality.
Yes,
that
I agree.
He wants people to appreciate his personality, which I think is great.
I relate to it deeply.
Now it would really be sad if like he's doing that because he's not going to be that great in the NFL and like he just needs to prepare for when he's going to have his own podcast.
Look, I decided to be funny because I realized I wasn't that good at math.
What's the pink jacket compensating for?
Everything.
Please tune in when we talk about our biggest insecurities.
Okay, here's the last one.
It's just like a deep need for attention. Like, look at me.
Yeah.
It's like a parrot.
This one we can only speculate now because this is Schrodinger's bet at this point. Okay. Malik Willis, 40-yard dash, 4.48. He, of course, is not testing anymore. He's just throwing. Yeah. Do we think he would have gone over or under this?
How big is he?
6'2", 215.
Yeah, he's not like Dante Culpepper big, even though the comparison is sort of there with it. Smaller school kind of guy.
I'll tell you what, he's for sure going under that at his pro day.
Yeah. I bet under. I figured that I like Justin Fields is sort of like a similarly. Actually, he's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, Justin Fields is bigger.
Yeah, but he ran like a 4.4 flat, right?
But that was
but Justin Fields is like fast AF.
But like Malik Willis is, Malik Willis kind of like, to me, as a runner was always like a combination of like Vince Young and Dante Culpepper to me. Like he's certainly got the agility, but he also just like runs dudes over the way Culpepper used to do, So interesting stuff.
Would you take Willis? What's his line right now to go first?
Oh yeah. So right now with the quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett is the favorite at plus 120. So it's like a 45% break even. Malik Willis is second at plus 150, so about a 40% break even. So those are the two. If you look at the market, they're saying about 80% of the time, if you simulate the universe a million times, you're getting either Pickett or Willis first.
What does the market think about how many are going in the first round?
We talked about this on the last show. There's not there doesn't appear to be a line, but I'd love to hear yours.
It's 4, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
I said 2.5.
I said 3.5.
Give me the list.
I think that Pickett and Willis will go in the first round.
And then
Now, in fairness,
let's get some real.
Now, in fairness, I haven't bet on any of them to go, those two to go first. I've bet on Ritter 40-1.
Okay.
To be the first quarterback
taken.
Just as like a point of like orders of magnitude, Willis and Pickett on betonline.ag are 40-1 to go first overall. So like that, they're still sort of in the hunt. That's like 2% or something. But then, so I put it at 3.5 just because I think like you look at the teams that are sort of in that back half of the first. Detroit Lions are at 32. Like they're not taking a quarterback at 2, but they could take one at 32, right?
Yeah.
And
or they can trade it too to just some team that wants the 5th year option.
Who are the 4?
Well, wait, can I have the odds? I'm curious about
yes,
this.
let me bring up.
Because Pickett's hands.
This is a very shady offshore site. So
the thing that he's compensating for are his very small hands, which means that is going to scare teams away.
Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. We're done with that now.
Joe Burrow.
We don't care about the hands anymore.
If we don't care about knees Joe Burrow and Kenny Pickett in the same sentence,
so
you get your credential. That's how you lose your credential.
We don't care about the hands anymore. We're done with small hands.
If you go to Prime 47 at 6 p.m. and tell people that they're the same player, you get in trouble.
So it goes the field 7-2 is the third most likely, which I think is egregious. Sam Howell at 6-1, Matt Corral at 10-1, and then you have my guy, Desmond Ridder at 40-1, Carson Strong at 80-1.
I think anybody but Strong, I would just so not be shocked if some team talks himself.
And even Carson Strong.
And it happens every single year.
Carson Strong is kind of EJ Manuel to me too. Like this big thing that wasn't that good in college and just kind of throws it. And
well, I guess so maybe the leak here is that there are teams that need quarterbacks that are in that back half of the draft.
It's not just the shitty teams that need quarterbacks this year. Yeah, that's
so like it's weird in the way that this draft order is constructed to like help this class get quarterbacks.
Yeah, because you look at, like, even think of this. This is kind of sneaky. So let's start at the back half of the first round. So you have Detroit at 32. Certainly could use one. It's Cincinnati, Kansas City, no. 29, Miami has the Niners pick. Miami could take a quarterback there. Like Tua.
Poor Tua.
Yeah, I know he gets strains all the time, but he could get Green Bay. We don't know about Rodgers. I don't think they're going to take one there.
Could you imagine if they took a quarterback?
Tampa Bay at 27. Where's Brady? Right, yeah. Brady's gone. Tennessee with Tannehill on his last year. That's another one. Buffalo, obviously no. Dallas, Arizona. I mean, probably not. They're going to get that thing figured out. By the way, that contract, those extensions.
Wait. We need to explain what Eric just did. Just started his sentence and then looked up over his shoulder.
Who were
like
you
the police might have been chasing him.
Who were you worried was going to be there?
I was making sure.
Did you think like Steve Keim was?
Well, maybe not him, but maybe but like I also have a loud voice, so it's a little bit rough.
They can hear you in Arizona.
Kliff. Yeah.
How's it going?
But like, somebody explained to me that contract extension like I'm 5. Those two.
Kyler?
No. Keim and Kingsbury.
Oh.
Through 2027. My kids are going to be in middle school, high school by then.
Yeah.
My daughter's going to learn statistics by splitting Kliff Kingsbury's seasons into halves.
This is bleak.
So first off, I think you're right, but my take on the reason that this happened, because I saw this and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And then you hear that Kyler's agent is the same as Kliff's agent.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the agent. I can't imagine that Kliff like had that disappointing, disaster end of the season. Called up his agent, was like, yo, buddy, I need the bag. Look, his agent was like, hey, Kliff, we made the playoffs. We got to capitalize on this before you suck even more next year.
Dude, the Eagles are laughing at how bad the Cardinals played in the playoffs. That was one of the worst performances I've seen of a good team all year. They had no shot in that game. It was pathetic. Okay. Vegas, maybe. New England, no. Pittsburgh, maybe. And the crazy thing, and George and I have studied this a lot in the drafts, is the honest to God truth historically is that they don't go in the second half of the first round. Because post CBA, most of the guys that were taken, and like this is mostly Tyler's Browns doing this, but like all the guys taken from like 16 to 32 have been terrible. Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, Brady Quinn,
Baker Mayfield. The jersey.
Yeah,
the back half of the jersey.
Paxton Lynch, Jordan Love, the quarterbacks taken in that group.
We don't know about Jordan Love.
I think we know a little
Lamar
bit
Jackson,
about Jordan Love.
Teddy Bridgewater were okay.
Stop it. He looked great in a practice film.
Yeah.
No one's seen.
So, and when you look at these markets, it was the Lamar Jackson draft. We were all talking to ourselves, maybe Mason Rudolph will make it, right? And the line was 5.5, and then Mason makes it to round 3. Then in 2019. It was Drew Lock, right? And everybody's like, oh, maybe Drew Lock will make it in. And then he sneaks into 40. And then, and then Jordan Love in 2020 actually made it. But then this year, after Mac Jones, right? Like there wasn't, and Jalen Hurts made it to round 2 in his draft and stuff. So it would be different if a lot of these guys went in the 19 to 32 range. But it's plausible for a lot of these teams to take one.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's do this to close out. We'll name a team who we think will be the quarterback for that team. How's that sound?
All right, let's do it.
Let's start with Indianapolis, since we're here. The great city of Indianapolis.
Notice they're not here on the first round.
Great city of Indianapolis. Yeah, because their pick goes to
Carson Wentz.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I actually think they play it out with Wentz.
So that would be my second option. So like clearly that building is split, right? And Reich is more in on Carson than Ballard. I mean, the two of them were at their podiums yesterday and we're just like, we've got disagreement in the building, which is fine. Like that's totally healthy. I am a little bit inclined to feel like that is ultimately a personnel choice, right? And if the personnel decision maker is the no and the coach is the yes, then I'm going to lean no. But Frank Reich is probably one of the most high-profile people in the NFL who is high on Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. If the rest of the league is lower on Carson Wentz than Frank Reich, and they can't get anything solid in return, then maybe it starts to move the needle.
And that's where I get worried, because if you think about who could be traded, if it all came out and like everybody's quarterbacks were able to be traded, where's Wentz? He's like 8th.
Well, but and the other thing though is that like nobody's moving. Like Rodgers is probably staying. Kirk is probably staying. Like Jimmy Garoppolo will get traded. Jimmy Garoppolo is the first domino. We need to like all start living in the world where Jimmy Garoppolo is the first domino.
I can't do it to Jimmy. I can't do it to Jimmy. It's just too painful for me to send him to Indianapolis. This godforsaken.
Okay,
man.
but hold on. These are the things I should not say on podcasts. But if Jimmy's like a 9 in San Francisco, Jimmy's like a 12 in Indianapolis.
He's a 75 here. The door.
But don't you think he could have some success under Reich here?
I think he could too. We forget.
Eric, first of all, thank you for just like blowing by that.
We forget.
I watched my career disintegrate in front of my eyes.
I mean, all you spoke was the truth.
Thank you.
The fact
sounds like a podcast name.
Just to quote Tina Fey in 30 Rock, we're all models west of the Allegheny or whatever.
Yes. But here's the thing for Jimmy. People are forgetting already that with half a shoulder and no thumb, he beat Aaron Rodgers, the MVP in the NFL. Single-handedly.
Aaron Rodgers, great regular season.
Look, I'm a big-time fan of over big samples using a quarterback's win rate.
Yeah.
I won't even go that far for that game.
I think so. I think you guys bring up really good points. The thing we should also remember is the Colts and the Niners.
Thinking of the things that I've brought up in the last 5 minutes.
He beat Aaron Rodgers.
The Colts
beat Aaron Rodgers
by himself.
He handed the ball to Debo.
He put the team on his back. He put the team on his back.
That was the wokest run I've ever seen, though. 3rd and 7.
The Colts and the Niners obviously have made trades in the past. I don't think we can overlook that, right? Like, having gotten something done before matters. I will say this. I don't think there's any chance Wentz is back. You cannot. He lost to Jacksonville. Fuck.
But the thing is Wentz, this is the fucked up part about last season. Wentz exceeded expectations.
He totally did. And you know what? Their defense collapsed almost as much as he did.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm going to say dark horse, though, is Kirk Cousins. My hypothesis is this. If Frank and Carson Wentz got along, Frank and Kirk Cousins will get along really well.
Kirk Cousins is getting extended.
The prayer group will be lit.
Here's
Kirk
Bible
Cousins
study.
Going to be the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings in 2047.
No, but here's
he's going to be making $80 million a year. God.
He's going to own the state of Minnesota.
He's going to be the president of the United States.
Here's my hypothesis, and I want to hear.
Is that the worst? If all of the quarterbacks in the NFL could become president of the United States, which would be the worst?
I decline to answer this question.
Stay out of politics. So here's my thought, though. And again, I don't know.
You're not going to answer the question either?
No. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Here's
Jimmy would be one of the best. In my opinion.
Jimmy could have made a country but he would avoid criticism by just looking into our eyes.
Can I actually say this? Jimmy Garoppolo would be an incredible television president.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't mean like actual president on television. Jimmy Garoppolo could play the president of the United States in a television show because we mistake charisma for ability, just as a populace. And Jimmy would crush that.
Yeah, we also and George with vis-a-vis Jimmy mistakes ability for charisma for sure. So my issue with this is the last time I'll say it.
Okay.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah represents a singular person in NFL history. He's an analytics GM. He's young. He's a person of color. He represents a very singular moment, and people don't like outsiders. And like, to me, this might be his only shot to be a GM. And I wonder if you spend 75% of your possible chance, your one swing, your one chance at the plate on Kirk Cousins making $40 million a year. That, to me, that just does not add up. And like, I'd like to be able to think
the flip side of that, though, is do you make your one swing on pivoting from him? Because like Kirk Cousins is the sin of someone else. And does he want to stay? You know, he can kind of get away with.
But this is a good pivot point for them, right? Like, the league is quarterback starved. He's at the last year of his deal. Now, if he lets him play through his contract, I'm perfectly fine with that. I get that. But an extension to me just seems like a misunderstanding of what he's up against, right? Like, think about it, like, and Chip, owns a little bit of PFF, and we're big fans of his, but when he went to Philadelphia, he did everything different. He had, them drinking shakes, they had the heart monitors, they had everything. Yeah. He ran an offense that was different than everybody else. And everybody, anytime, I remember 2013, they played the Chiefs on Thursday night, and they did this weird swinging gate on a 2-point conversion. Everybody's like, see, Chip Kelly, what he does doesn't work in the NFL. And then he takes Nick Foles to 10-6, takes Mark Sanchez to 10-6. But the moment they went 6-9, they had like a moderately bad year, and he was fired before the season was ended. Like, to me, outsiders in the NFL, again, this is an insular, right? This is a very like, and Kwesi, as much as he's been connected, he's been in the league longer than all his youth implies. But again, I still think he represents an outsider that is going to get less of a chance, unfortunately, than he should. And like, if I was in that position, I would not take such a low ceiling gamble.
Yes, but they hired a coach ostensibly to work with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
If you read
Jawline,
the tea
good
leaves,
too.
it seems as though there's an imperative to win 9 games, which doesn't make anybody thrilled. Nobody's doing cartwheels over it.
It's the Minnesota Nice of records.
Also, Kwesi comes from San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan
thinks really, really
thinks highly of Kirk Cousins.
And he comes from Cleveland, where Baker was kind of a shitty version of Kirk.
And who knows what Stefanski thought of Cousins? Yeah. Stefanski may have said, "Hey, Cousins is great."
Because Stefanski was his OC. Yeah, his best year with the Vikings.
Let's do rapid fire to close it out here. Tampa Bay.
Kyle Trask. No, I'm just kidding. Winston? Jameis?
Yeah, you and I are on the same page.
I'm going with Russell Wilson.
Woo!
Yep.
So wait, hold on. Then who's the quarterback of the Seahawks?
Desmond Ridder.
Ooh, all right.
If Desmond Ridder gets taken first quarterback overall, I'm going to Vegas.
I think the Seahawks. I think Pete Carroll falls in love with his personage, and one of the picks he gets from Tampa Bay, he pulls the trigger on Desmond Ridder. Okay. Here's a sneaky one. The Atlanta Falcons.
They don't really have an out here. But I do think they draft somebody this year. I do think they're in the running to draft somebody high.
I agree. And my favorite one, the Niners.
God, you hate the Steelers.
Tom Brady.
Thank you.
Just kidding.
Confirmed.
Trey Lance.
Yeah,
Tom Brady is retired.
It can't be anybody but Trey Lance.
It's Trey Lance.
It's going to be Tom Brady.
It should have already been Trey Lance.
Thank you.
Bonus. Denver Broncos.
Oh, gosh. Man, I really don't know. So the Broncos and the Panthers, I think they've probably got a Kirk. No, Kirk is a Viking.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's not enough quarterbacks to go around.
Yeah.
There's going to be some very interesting people playing quarterback.
How is there not enough quarterbacks to go around and Kirk staying in? Like, to me, that's like the quintessential. That's why all the answers by those two men have been, hey, we're going to do what's best for us. He's going to do what's best for him. Hopefully we can work together and make something work. Like, I think that it is budding up to be like a situation where he is actually going to be worth something
and you
to
think
a team like the Panthers,
make
Broncos,
a big move.
Steelers are another one we haven't mentioned, but like the Steelers probably going to draft Malik Willis.
Yeah.
It sounds like I do think there's going to be a market for him because and here's the other sneaky one. If Rodgers goes back to Green Bay, you can no longer sort of fall backwards into, the division's bad, right? 9 wins will be enough, 10 wins will be enough.
Right.
If Rodgers comes back, you're still like the second team in that division, and
I think it seems like Denver was hoping they would have a shot at Rodgers, and I just don't think that they do. And so that one I have no beat on whatsoever. And then Carolina, I think probably draft someone, but that one I just have no like.
Yeah, I think
those are the two that I find really confusing.
Denver's interesting. I could see Denver. It's weird because I don't really know what Hackett like. I think he probably also was like, "Hey, I'm bringing Rodgers with me." You know, like
I mean,
he
could it be
said
Jordan
something
Love?
really nice to me?
Ah,
wow.
Like the problem is, and this is the problem though, and
Is
this
Peyton
is
Manning still around?
this is why taking
This is it up.
Elway, come on.
This is why taking
Drew Brees.
This is why taking a quarterback
Phil
in the
Brooks.
first round, if you don't, and this is why I supported the Falcons not taking Fields last year. If you are not going to play the guy right away, it sucks. Because like Jordan Love gets 1 year, and if he shows anything, the 5th-year option is like $20 million.
Yep.
And then you got, you have to make that decision. Whereas everybody compares him to Rodgers. When Rodgers was drafted by Green Bay, his initial contract was 5 years, $7 million. Right. That you had so much more team control back then. Oddly, right now, all the edges in the front half of the first round. Back then, in the back half of the first round, quarterbacks were relatively cheap. Let's get Nora out on this. Okay. So you wrote an article right before the season I thought was really good. I talked with you about it. It was a lot of fun. You wrote an article called "The NFL's Empathy Gap."
I did.
And it was very curious. You interviewed me because obviously I'm like this cold, heartless analytics guy, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and I want to bring George into the conversation because I do think George is a cold, heartless analytics guy.
I don't know I didn't wear the uniform today of that.
Well,
but
of double acid wash and an homage to Kevin Clark sport coat.
But so we were talking this over, and I think that there's an interesting aspect of in football, it is a really hard game to build a roster of 53 players who are coexisting well, right? And so we always think of individual moves. Like I think of the Orlando Brown move as a negative EV move for the Chiefs. But your quarterback, you get such positive EV because this contract's so simple. What do you think about this idea of like making humongous plus EV bets and then being okay with negative EV bets sort of on the perimeter to sort of like round the edges off? And do you think we're that good at specifying them, George?
It's interesting. So I think the problem is ascribing, to your point, our certainty around the expected value of a bet.
Yeah.
And so, I think about this a lot, actually, with our company and PFF. Like, as our company, we're making bets on things every day.
Right.
Like, what are we going to do? And there are some bets where the expected value may be negative, but because of the ends of the distribution, you make that bet because there aren't any other bets out there that have that high of a potential outcome.
Right.
And so I think it's a little bit different in football where there's some more interplay there, and you're hoping that maybe there's a negative EV in a vacuum, but then in our ecosystem, it can be positive EV. I have a little harder time with that. A better time with, look, sometimes you got to take swings. Mm-hmm. And in our culture and what we do, we give ourselves a little bit better of a chance than the market to get the right side of that.
So Nora brought up some really good examples in the article. I think the one that I wanted to bring up was drafting Jalen Hurts, because we all sort of think about drafting Jalen Hurts was such a good move, right? Drafting a quarterback that high with that kind of pedigree, but at the same time, it hurt the most important. In a weird way, you knew what Carson was like. And he was the most important player on your team. And it hurt him in ways that guys like you and I are not measuring, right? Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was a really good example because it does sort of show you how kind of non-independent things are in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hurts one was a great move because Carson Wentz stinks.
Well, and also because by all accounts, Hurts is a guy, or I guess this is maybe the flip side of why there were complications stemming from that move. Although I agree with you, I think the Eagles are probably, all things considered, happy they didn't hitch themselves to Carson Wentz even further. But the thing that they didn't see coming was that Hurts was going to go into that locker room and just everyone was going to want to be around him all the time. And sometimes I think it's a hindrance to look at football like just life and like we sort of have experiences that are analogous to what NFL players and teams are going through, because sometimes it's just a completely different, like, these are aliens.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not, though. Sometimes it's just sort of like you have to make Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers feel important and wanted. Yeah. And if you don't, it can cost you millions of dollars and multiple wins a season. And
I agree 100%. I think there's two things that I'd bring up there. The first is, like, what are you doing? There are multiple solutions to, like, accomplish that end.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I think a lot of them are free, is the thing.
And that's kind of my point. Like, I would question what is wrong with your leadership if they're going, the only way for us to make this guy happy is to make this dumb roster
is to sign Randall Cobb.
Right. Right.
You know,
the problem was not signing Randall Cobb. It's that Brian Gutekunst, like, couldn't have a conversation
Randall
with
Cobb
anybody.
was okay.
He was
okay.
He was great. But yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think that is a sign of, like, actually maybe another problem somewhere else, right? And that, to me, is the interesting thing. The other one is, I agree, like, we don't know a lot about some of the intangible things that we do know are important.
Right.
And so the default is, we go, hey, we know these things are important. We know culture is important. And so I'm assuming that the team making this decision knows his culture is going to be great, or like his, personality is going to be great, or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is they don't know.
Yep.
So really what you have to do is build in more of an error in your projection, as opposed to more certainty and, like, the team knows what they're doing.
And that's the whole thing. I think it's like, the big enough decisions are such that the right answer is contained in the confidence interval. Paying Patrick Mahomes $500 million over 10 years when you have all the outs that they have, there aren't that many universes, if you simulate it 10,000 times, where that's a bad move, right? There are these moves on the border where it's like 2% either way, and life could change. You could have a pandemic, you have all this, plus or minus 5% puts you in the black or the red. And so those moves, I think maybe you and I are and we maybe should be, that's our jobs, but you and I are more critical of, when in reality, like, those are the ones where it's just kind of like, if it makes everybody more happy, then maybe that's or makes things smoother, maybe that's just something you have to write off.
Yeah, you got to be careful you can get very nihilistic, like, quickly with that, right? Where it's like, well, fuck, we know nothing, and, like, nothing matters.
Right.
And it's like, we do know some things, and, like, we should still pay attention to those things, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing is that usually this is a communications question. Usually the actual moves that you're making, probably on the whole, make them cold, hard, and calculated. I think one of the problems is that those moves are being even communicated to players in a way where people will look someone in the eyes and basically say, like, you are a negative EV move for us. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to do business. The moves can ostensibly be the same. I do think that there are examples where, if you are the Jaguars, I'm really not going to have an issue with them overpaying for a couple guys, because you have to get out of the toilet.
Okay.
You have to do something where people are going to feel better about being part of it.
So you're talking about in free agency?
Free agency, yeah.
What about overpaying for Travis Etienne? Because, like, I think this is a good example. Yeah. It's like, hey, we're making Trevor Lawrence happy. Well, thank God he was happy this year. Because imagine if he wasn't happy.
Yeah, imagine how miserable.
But I'm also not sure that that's true, right? Like, was Trevor Lawrence measurably happier because Travis Etienne was around, or would Trevor Lawrence have been measurably happier if they had a better team or
that's
the coach point. Of the clue.
Part of your job as a leader, and this is why it's tough. This is why you pay leaders more money, right? Is because, like, this is why being president of whatever country or whatever is so important, because you have to be able to make decisions that people are not going to say. Not every decision you make, people go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah. Like, a lot of the times you're going to have people who are very valuable, whose opinion you really care about, who are going to go, I'm not sure I see why you made this decision. You have to go, look, I know that. Let me talk you through it. Let me explain why I did it. We both have the same goal. I'm doing my job. I'll explain it to you. that is the thing that's probably missing. Now, it's easier said than done to have that conversation with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers when they're like legitimately your superior and like own your football team. But
well, and also because there are some competing incentives here, right? Like you can get, for instance, like Howie Roseman can get actually a decent amount of points from us, from people in the public for saying quarterback factory. You know where he's not getting points for saying quarterback factory? In the quarterback circle. Right? Like you can make certain elements happy and other elements unhappy. And you kind of got to have those priorities straight. And it's very easy to overvalue my tweeting, oh, how smart. It's the most important position in sports, like blah, 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 blah. And then a couple years later, you got a big problem.
Yeah, it's a penny rich, pound poor sort of like approach where you earn the respect of people in the media, but you lose it with the player who's the most important to your team. And like you wrote about McVay and Goff too, which ultimately McVay gets the last laugh here.
Totally.
But like even then, you know, taking a step back, McVay admitted, right, that he didn't handle the communication the best. And probably he didn't handle the final communication the best because he didn't handle the communication with this quarterback for years all that well, right? And you know, maybe from all accounts, I was just watching the games, but McVay and Stafford maybe had a better relationship as a result of learning from that.
There's also nothing wrong with admitting that and like
getting better.
Yeah, just trying to get better at it.
Right? Like,
I mean, and it's also, it's not that it's not hard, right? Like, and we're all people, and I think we can all admit that sometimes the things that bother us are silly and very small. But like, I covered the Patriots when Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, was very upset about not being named Patriot of the Week. You know, like these things just happen. And it's kind of like, I don't know how you train for it, but you also aren't doing the right thing by sort of pulling the wool over and being like Patriot of the Week couldn't possibly matter.
Let's close on this one.
I love talking about Patriot of the Week. You're all Patriots of the Week.
I was going to say, I'm still striving to be Patriot
I've never
of the
won
Week.
Here's let's close on this because
Best dress of the week. Though.
I actually
locked.
God damn it. Do you think that the Patriots winning?
There's so much angst in your outfit. I can feel it.
What is if double denim is a Canadian tuxedo? What's double acid wash?
You guys, good for you. God. Luckily, I'll be able to change before
this
our
podcast
party.
is electric.
It is.
It is probably
Our podcast producer Stone is literally having an.
I don't even get my last question. Okay. Do you think the Patriots being able to win Super Bowls inside of just like the 2018 team, the quarterback wasn't happy, right? Like that team was. Do you think that's like the last like mind fuck that Bill Belichick did on the whole league was winning Super Bowls without even having that like culture that was so characteristic of the team? You know what I mean?
So they had a certain type of culture, even though Brady was ticked, and he was decreasingly ticked as that season went on because they were winning and they were good. Like the off season before, I mean, yikes.
Yeah.
Right. But winning does sort of cure all ills. And then I think they, because of the incentives of playing there, right? It's not necessarily like culture does not have to be, we're going to give you a hug and a chocolate chip cookie. It can be, you are going to raise your profile. You can make more money off the field. You can sell t-shirts to everyone in Boston. Like, there's a lot of good to be gained by playing here, and you're gonna know why you're doing it. And I think they really benefited from that.
Okay.
But I don't know that it was necessarily like it's just a different way of doing things. I will say that I think one thing that they tend to have going for them is people sort of know there's not always a lot of friction about sort of like what your role is. Mm-hmm. People tend to kind of know what they're supposed to do and at least why they're doing it.
Yeah, good point.
So it wasn't the weed brownies that Belichick made. Damn. So we thought.
That's what I was trying to get.
Does Patriot of the Week get like an acid wash shirt that says Patriot of the Week? This was our podcast. Thank you so much, those of you that made it through and listened. Nora, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
This was a pleasure.
This is delightful.
We'll do a sequel, Joe Millionaire podcast coming up.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go watch it. I'll let you guys know how
We'll be back with you on Sunday. Thank you for hanging out. Peace.